take you along the refit of Freebirds, an Etincelle 60. She partially sank in Japan during COVID and grounded on a beach. This year the owner decided to bring her back to life. During several months she was prepared to sail to Thailand. We put an external plywood patch over the damaged area, built a temporary rudder, put a new engine in and a lot more. We then sailed her over 4,000 nautical miles, mostly against wind, to start her major refit. Let's start different this week by looking out the back of the shed onto this nice worm and onto this Etincelle from the back. I won't take you onto the cabin top, not much happened there this week, but there's a little surprise waiting here. There's one hole less, so this top part that's only dry fitted at the moment. Everything below that is already glued in. There were some tricky parts, or some parts we had to fake it a bit. You can see like this small plank in between here, for example. And also you see that they are not all flush with the original wood, but that is basically impossible because of the different width of the boards, because they probably have been sanded down but at different rates, so sometimes even the bottom has a different thickness than the top. So yeah, we just glued them in our original bevel, and that will be all sanded off. Also we have to sand it anyway to get a surface like the bare wood again, so we can glue on the fiber straight onto that. So the next thing that will happen here is, once everything is sanded down and filled, maybe if necessary in some spots, to replace the original layup, which were unis running vertically and 45 degrees. There was no fiberglass running horizontally because all these forces that the wood would take. We didn't get these unis that I wanted, so how we're going to replace it is by having one vertical uni at 600 grams, not like the original at 460, and then we put the biax of 800 that runs the 45. So this is discussed with the designer of the boat, and he approved that solution, so that's good to know. We're safe on that behalf. And obviously there has to be done a lot of fairing on the side to get to the bare fiberglass, so we have something to connect it to. These are the last planks that will go in on top. Then the laminating table that is finally done, now together with the rack of the different rolls of glass on top. And yeah, there's the whole epoxy consumables, and a little trial with the vacuum pump. And the idea really is to laminate as much as we can on this table, everything that we can get off the boat, and make it in a clean way here, and put the vacuum bags around. So for example, when we redo the bulkheads or the subfloor bulkheads, like the ones that are only half the height, we can actually dry fit them inside. We cut them to shape, dry fit them inside, but then take them out, laminate them on the table here, and then only glue them into the boat and have the fiberglass running in the filleting. So that will just end up that it's much easier to prepare everything here. A little experiment running at the moment, that's this 30mm foam H80, and this is representing the cabin top, so it's basically upside down. It's a bit of imagination. So this would be the top towards the sky, the original roof that goes all the length, and then this weird thing in here is going to be placed a bit more forward. That's then overhanging, that's like the drip line for all the rain. And the reason we put this in here has two functions. First, for the window that will sit somewhere here on it, so we have a surface to glue it onto. We were told like at least 1 inch surface, so this is 3 centimeters. That's a bit more. That's good also, so it has a bit of room to play up and down. And second, it reinforces the beam here where it has to, where that frame is, where the so since the window is here, this cannot bend too much, because otherwise it will crack the window, and it is not supported for the length of 1.60 meters. So in the middle there is a pillar right behind the masthead, and on here we can also make another pillar, but all the forces in between have to really be taken by this beam. That's where this layup comes in place. And also that's going to be stiffened with carbon fiber running down, just unis running in this direction in the bottom and on the top. And since we cannot really calculate this, and we don't have the resources for that, we are just going to build the test piece in a way that we think it sounds reasonable, and we're then going to test it. The force I'm not so worried about, because once the carbon fiber is in, for sure it will be super strong, but the problem is more the flex. Well, also carbon fiber is much stiffer, but still in the middle of it cannot flex for more than maximum 3 or 4 millimeters, because otherwise the beam will push down onto the window, and then the window will just crack, because the window won't take much flex before it cracks. Yes, so there were some technical details on that. I can give some drawings to make that maybe a bit more clear. That's slightly different setup, just for the foam thickness. What I showed on the table was basically this as the top layer of the cabin top, and this part for the frame support underneath, and it was missing this piece here. That was just for additional stiffness, or to make that beam wider, to have even more force in it. So that's a bit the numbers we're playing with. That's the original layup here, the glass fiber, the 800, and then in black that's going to be the carbon fiber support. The idea is also not to have that edge here, so to have it running like this in a straight line, just because this is where you will look in from the inside, and it should look like it's just a normal cabin top following. And so we have 300 grams carbon unis, and the question now is how many layers of these carbon unis we have to get in to have in the middle of the beam flex, or not too much flex. Maybe show it from the side somewhere. Ah, yeah, here. So basically that's the piece I just showed now, and it has to be at least 2.5 centimeters anyway for the window to have something to sit on. But yeah, the wider this is, obviously the more stable this whole beam will become. So that's this 1.6 meters roughly that it has to span without any support in the middle. The cabin top, we're gonna start lay down the foam, and what will happen on there is a little change in plans regarding how to fasten the foam onto the deck. So my original plan was to use screws, fasteners, to get it down, but it is impossible to get these screws out later, because we don't do a hand layup. Well, we do a hand layup, but we then vacuum bag it, which means that there will be on top of the peel ply, there will be the breather fabric, and through that there's no chance to see where these spots are, where the screws were, because originally my idea was just to put some red Play-Doh there and look through it, but that sadly does not work with the breather fabric on it. So
the plan is to leave the peel ply and breather fabric in place, so we have something to glue the strong back onto.
What I hope is that we can temporarily fix all the sheets while we put them down with fasteners, put glue in between the joints, and especially then having the joint down here, that we, once the epoxy is cured with just that filler in, that we can actually take the screws out, fill those holes again, and the whole thing will just stay down. And if it lifts in some points a little bit, the vacuum should take care of that. So yeah, next week, apart from laying down all the foam, what has to happen is that the top will first have to be sealed, so we can actually create a vacuum against that. And yeah, that's going to be interesting. We're probably going to use wax, and obviously we have to fill a lot of imperfections. The MDF itself also breathes, so it's not airtight, so it has to be sealed anyway, but also to get all the screw holes and gaps like this covered. That was the area I was talking about before. Pillar in the middle, 1.60 span, and all the force that comes down here has to be taken by that extra support of the carbon without cracking on the window. Obviously we can have a bit of play, the more like we just put in some silicone or some other sealant to have play, well, like that this can take some of the compression load before the glass has to take it. Yeah, and the layup of the cabin top is also going to be a bit funky. We have this 45-45 biax. The original was also done in unis, running in all directions, and we're going to use biax, and this means we can have some rolls like running in this direction, having an overlap, but the others will have to run in a 45-degree angle to that, so that's going to be a bit funky, but that will work out. That's what happened this week. I'm really looking forward to start actually building that cabin top. That will be a really cool project. And till then, take care and see you soon.